There we go.
And we should be live. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us or not. Welcome to
Perfect.
the, it's bi-weekly, twice a week. How do you say every other week? Just every other week?
I think it's bi-weekly. I'm pretty sure.
Bi-weekly?
Like, people can correct us if I'm wrong about
Yeah.
that, but I'm pretty sure bi-weekly means every other week. Yeah.
Welcome to the bi-weekly
Like biannual
technical
means 2
steering
years.
committee meeting. Let us know if you can hear us. I'll check the audio on my phone. And Chris, why don't you take away the introductions?
Yeah, I'll go for it. Well, welcome everybody to the Permissionless Software Foundation Technical Steering Committee meeting. It is November 10th. I am Chris Troutner. I helped found the PSF. Looks like Cool Cleaner is out today. Let's go around and do a brief introduction. Stoyan, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Stoyan Zhekov. I am helping with the JavaScript libraries for PSF. That's all from me.
All right, me next.
Sure.
My name is Aaron Shoemaker, and I am working with NFT development and integration with the PSF, Pay-to-Write database, and also when we get time on the development school that we've been talking about. But I think we've all been pretty busy lately. So, David, I like the background there.
I am David R. Allen, and I am acting as an advisor to the Guava project, and it's a project that takes into account a lot of the work that's being done by the PSF, both on BCH, AVEX, and on eCache.
Right on. All right, well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. How are we looking on your end there, Aaron?
Looking good.
Okay, great. So as our usual schedule, what we're going to do is go through the agenda items first. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate our technical achievements over the last couple weeks, and then we'll enter into a roundtable discussion. I know Aaron's got something he wants to share around the metaverse and NFTs there. We've also got an item on sort of DAO governance structure. I wanted to continue the conversation that Stoyan and I had in the VIP channel and just sort of pick up where we left off. But before we get there, let me go through the technical items in the agenda. And as always, feel free to interrupt me if you guys spot it. I won't be watching the questions on YouTube. If something comes up in the Permissionless Software Foundation Telegram channel, I'll see it on my screen, and that's a great way for people to sort of interact if they're not here in the Zoom call. But yeah, please interrupt me if you have a comment or a question on what I cover.
And I could post the chat. I'll grab a window, and we can post it up so everybody can see it.
Nice. So starting off with the PSF core software, which is composed of BCH API REST API, BCH.js JavaScript library, and the Gatsby IPFS web wallet, which is the engine behind our web wallet. Ethan is an eCache. Well, I think he's contributed both in Bitcoin Cash and eCache, but he contributed a PR this week to BCH API to tap into some of the new RPC calls that the eCache full node is offering, like get currency info, which they had a redenomination, which it's now a little harder to support eCache and BCH at the same time because eCache now has a new prefix and a new denomination. So I was really grateful to see this PR because it's going to help wallets more easily switch between the two blockchains. And I need to apologize to him because I have not been able to adequately review his pull request and submit it. And part of the reason for that is that I'm still in the process of separating the fullstack.cache production infrastructure from the Permissionless Software Foundation code repositories. Like right now, they're too tightly coupled, and I need to separate them. So I wanted to sort of address that here with this item. So November 15th is in a few days. That is traditionally when Bitcoin Cash has had its 6-month network upgrade. This is the first time that it will not be undergoing a network upgrade, but eCache is still on schedule for their network upgrade. So the full stack.cache infrastructure has been updated, and it's ready for that upgrade. All the full nodes have been updated. And that's part of the reason why I've been so slow to merge this PR. My plan is to move the code that actually is pushed to production for full stack.cache, separate that from the PSF code repositories. And by doing that, we can be a little more liberal with our approvals and code reviews and getting code into the code base. I definitely want to make it easy for pull requests to land in the code base after a proper review. And the thing that's really kind of holding me back from that is the worry that, okay, well, this is immediately going to get pushed into production once it's approved into the master branch. And I need to sort of remove that fear. And so by decoupling them, I'll be able to do that. So that's probably a couple weeks away. And this whole network upgrade has been a good excuse for me to just sort of audit that infrastructure. Also, another thing worth noting is that there's an example shell. So for people who are trying to run the BCH API, REST API, for instance, if they're trying to fulfill some of the bounties that we have for running an API access, you have to set up BCH API, and there's this example shell script, and it was missing some of the newer environment variables. And so I've seen a couple people struggle with that. And so I finally had the time yesterday to review that and get that example shell script updated. So it should be a little easier to set up BCH API now. And then finally, Daniel upgraded Gatsby IPFS web wallet to Gatsby version 4. They just had a major release, so that's good. So it's good to keep that up to date. And we're making really good progress. Oh, actually, I guess that's this next item. Daniel and we've been working on integrating IPFS Cord into Gatsby IPFS web wallet so that users, if for some reason the normal REST API way of working doesn't work, they can go to the configure tab and essentially click on start IPFS node, which then launches a node, and then the wallet will switch from centralized mode to decentralized mode and should continue to work. And that should make the web wallet more accessible in places where it would normally be banned, like China. And so we're getting really close to having that in place.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And then the token DEX, to bring everybody, just to remind everybody, Ava Labs has given a grant to the PSF to develop a decentralized exchange on their X chain, which is a UTXO based chain. So Gary is working on that. He's taken the BCH PSF BCH wallet, which is our sort of quality control CLI wallet, and or command line wallet, and we forked it into PSF AVEX wallet, and he is pulling out the BCH stuff and replacing it with Avalanche specific stuff, refactoring it, and we've already got the whole maker taker acceptance workflow of the swap protocol. We've already got that ported over to the X chain, so we already know it's working. So this DEX is going to be implemented fairly quickly into the command line wallet, and then it's going to take a little more time to push it out into an actual web user interface, so that normal people can use it just by visiting a web page. But work on the DEX is progressing really, really well. Also, the Bitcoin Cash community recently funded a flip starter for the PSF to develop a new SLP indexer to replace SLPDB. And that work is going really well. It's almost completed indexing the entire blockchain, the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And so that's been a very slow process, because it's been like, you let it run until it finds a transaction that makes it sort of fall over, and then you figure out like why it fell over, and you update the code, and then you run it again, and you just keep doing that and iterating. So it's been a very slow process to get it to the tip of the blockchain. And so that's progressing really good. I think it's on, I just checked on, it's on like block 685,000, and we're currently at like 715,000. So I expect in the next couple days it should finish indexing the blockchain. And what's really cool about this is once it completes the full blockchain, there's still a lot of work to do to get it to work like as an indexer, because then I have to figure out how to make it work with block reorgs, how to handle those, and how to handle unconfirmed transactions. So it won't be very usable anytime soon, but getting it to sync to the whole blockchain is a big progress. And what it's doing as it's doing that is it's creating a map of all the SLP transactions in the blockchain, so that if you need to re-index it, like if I push a change to the code, I don't have to start over from scratch again. It'll only process the transactions that it knows are or suspects might be SLP transactions, and can ignore the bulk of the transactions in the blockchain that it's already like confirmed are absolutely not SLP transactions. So this makes the re-indexing process like very fast. I don't know how fast it's going to be yet, but it's going to be like a matter of hours as opposed to a matter of days. So that's going to be really advantageous, because people will be able to hack this index or customize it for whatever their business use case is, and then re-index it very quickly. And so that's going to be a huge value add compared to the existing SLP DB indexer.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this sort of thing. I'm so glad that you're working on this and you're making it more lightweight, and because it would be great to be able to shrink the size of the hardware in order to make this work. And I'm excited for some possibilities of what can be done with the SLP tokens, having this robust database. So that's awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks. Yeah. People are pretty excited about this. Another thing, one of the big sort of big things that I put in that flip starter that I wasn't totally sure if I was going to be able to achieve was I wanted to improve the memory by 10x. So SLPDB requires a minimum of 32 gigabytes of RAM in order to operate. And this thing's using about 2 gigabytes in order to index. So that I am actually achieving more than a 10x improvement in memory consumption. So that's going to make this indexer much easier for people to run.
Awesome.
Chris, what is the database? It will not be MongoDB anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm using LevelDB, which is what the full node uses. And I'm looking forward to getting to the point where I can do a benchmark test between RocksDB and LevelDB. They're both fairly comparable databases. Some people just are really adamant that RocksDB is better, but we'll wait and see what the benchmark tests say. But yeah, it's very small. The fully indexed, it's not fully indexed yet, but right now the database is pushing 2 gigabytes. And so I expect that by the time it finishes indexing, it'll probably be between 2.5 and 3 gigabytes of that's just the footprint on the hard drive. And then it'll use about 2 gigabytes of memory. And then other than that, it's just processor. So it'll process as fast as it can. All right, with that, let's move into this roundtable discussion on DAO. I should have increased my screen size. On DAO governance structure. We had a really good discussion on the VIP channel. So for people who aren't familiar with that, it's PSF-VIP on Telegram, and you have to have a certain amount of PSF tokens staked in order to speak in the room. And if you are interested in finding out more about that, anybody can join the room. You can click on the pinned message to read more about how you actually get the right to talk in this room. But we discussed the Shapeshift DAO, and I want to just sort of bring us up to speed and summarize the conversation that we already had. I have some notes here that I took. So this is less about the PSF and more about just admiring this evolving DAO model and what other people are doing out in the world in terms of successfully applying it. And I think Shapeshift right now is one of the leaders in this space, certainly not the only one, but one of the top ones. And at a very, very high level, up here at the top, you've got the Fox token holders, and they vote on everything. And there's actually, we won't go too deep into this right now, but there's actually like a 4-tier voting system in order to prevent voting fatigue, which is really important in a DAO. You don't want to like have everybody vote on everything all the time, because people will just stop paying attention. This is a very real phenomenon. And so they have a system of where proposals sort of get like, what do they call it? Soft consensus. They get sort of soft consensus before they move up the ladder and get actually voted on to get hard consensus. So that's an interesting idea just in and of itself. Another thing that's really interesting about DAO is they've got these partnerships on the right. So they already have a cash flow, a significant cash flow from partnerships and existing products. So this is one thing that's very different between PSF and Shapeshift, is we do not have a cash flow right now. Or, you know, we've got a little bit coming in from fullstack.cash, but it's minimal. It's a drop in the ocean. So a lot.
Chris?
Oops.
We lost Chris here.
We lost Chris.
Let me go back to the main Zoom. So Chris, we lost Chris, and for those in the chat, I got a chat window up, so let's take that off. We lost Chris. We were talking about the DAOs, and when he comes back on, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Before he does, you know, Stoyan, you always are able to blow our minds with stuff. Do you want to take that away while we're waiting for Chris to get back?
Today I wanted to talk more about the same topic like Chris. So maybe if I can share my screen, I can give a little more details on the Chris conversation until now about this first level of this DAO.
Yeah.
So if you allow me to just share my screen.
Oh, Chris is back.
He's back. Okay, he's back.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I am... Yeah, I think I was on the wrong Wi-Fi hotspot. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, so I talked about the voting and the voting fatigue and the partnerships and the cash flows. Let me talk about these work streams. So they've got these different work streams. And what's great about these work streams, so a lot of what people vote on when they vote is they're voting on budgets for these work streams. So each work stream has a leader, a work stream leader. And they raise their hand and they say, I'm going to be a work stream leader. I'll be responsible for product development. Here's a budget. And then people vote on the budget. And then the work stream leader is ultimately like accountable. And right now they're free to sort of, it's a sort of a free for all. It's up to the work stream leader on how they organize this work and how they spend the money. But ultimately they're accountable for the outcome when they come back to get another budget. And right now, some of these, so I've been focusing most of my attention on these work streams. One thing at a high level that I really like about these is that the DAO itself is not too dependent on any one work stream. If one work, like, and there could be multiple development work streams with multiple leaders, and so you kind of get this co-opetition going on. And the end result is that the DAO itself it has many legs to stand on. It's not too dependent on any one work stream or work stream leader working out. And I think that's a very resilient model. On the other hand, some of the stuff I want to get into that Stoyan pointed out is this idea of having DAO contracts for a work stream. I think that would be an improvement over what I've seen in terms of the execution at Shapeshift right now. So let me go over some of my notes. Oh, and then, okay, so finally, one last thing and then I'll go into my notes is, so down here at the bottom are individual contributors. And so individual contributors, they're free to sort of bounce around the different work streams. And it's ultimately the work stream leaders that sort of dole out rewards. And so in the organization behind that is up to the work stream leader. So that's how Shapeshift works. So some of the notes I took during our discussion in the VIP channel, I talked about voting fatigue. I talked about the treasury. And this treasury is kind of the ultimate scorecard because it's the price of the token and the number of tokens held in the treasury. That's at any moment in time, you can kind of use a quick market cap analysis to sort of understand how the DAO's doing in terms of its financial health. Multiple work streams are not dependent. Shapeshift has existing cash flows. So Stoyan, you gave a great breakdown of some of the tools that they're using. So they use Gnosis Safe for their treasury, which is really, like you said, just a multi-signature wallet. Snapshot and SafeShot, these are ways to vote with ERC20 tokens that don't result in an actual on-chain transaction. That's not really something we're worried about in Bitcoin Cash. E-specific, and then Colony was something you called out. That's sort of where the smart contracts around the DAO come from, and as you gave a demo a few meetings ago about the near protocol and their near DAO stuff, and that was very impressive. Those contracts that they had available there, and then we also talked about how this idea, if each work stream had a DAO, or if each work stream had DAO contracts to sort of help with the management of the funding within the work stream, that fits in really nicely with this Node.js governance model that we've adopted, which is like, that's why this technical steering committee exists. And then as we grow and we get interest in specific areas like maybe SLP or metaverse or something like that, we're supposed to spin off work groups, and that's the Node.js governance model. And so that fits in really well with this concept of work streams and using these DAO contracts to manage them. So with that, I'd like to open this up to your guys' thoughts and discussion. I also what I want to point out with a caveat, it's not really worth getting too deep into the weeds with this stuff right now, I think, because of our lack of cash flow. I think that is going to drive a lot of how this DAO evolves. Like right now, I mean, we all know that there's an ocean of money in decentralized exchanges. And so we're already kind of pursuing that goal. And I think that as we develop a product that matures, that and in particular, the DEXs that we're building are leveraging the Pay2Write database, which is a unique technology to our organization. And so I think that is for me at least, that's the obvious cash flow to pursue. Hopefully there will be others in the future, but right now that's like the clear low hanging fruit to me. And I think that, we can't really get too crazy with the government structure until, we have our cash flow nailed down. And then we actually have money to pay for things. And then we can really get serious about this structure. That's at least my initial thought. So let me kick it off there. Stoyan, do you have anything that you want to cover? I don't want to represent you incorrectly.
I wanted, to do a little more details on this DAO topic. If I can share my screen, will be great.
Yeah, I'm trying to stop sharing. This is interesting. I can't actually stop sharing.
Aaron took over as the host.
Oh, did I? Okay. Screen share. Oh, I thought it said Chris was the host, but I'm not seeing where I can give you ability to share.
I may need to leave and come back. Yeah, I shouldn't. Right now I can't actually.
Maybe Stoyan's the host, because I've got, usually there's a little tab.
I can share now.
You can?
Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
All right.
Can you see this one?
Yep.
Okay, so when we talk with Chris, I wanted to see this. What is this Gnosis Safe?
I'm going to have to exit and come back. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Should we wait for you? Maybe yes.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Musical interlude, Aaron.
I can do. So I don't have anything pulled up. So
that was good.
Yeah, that was great. Let's see here. Well, let's come back to the main Zoom while we wait for Chris to come back. I like this idea of the work streams. I think it's it's kind of one thing, like if you head up a work stream, you kind of live and die by it, it sounds like. We got multiple of Chris here.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. Zoom is
He's
super buggy
multiplying,
today.
huh?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to rearrange everything now.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So, there is a way to do a WebRTC chat through like a decentralized one. Maybe somebody should look into that. That's in the PSF, because we'd love to use that.
I actually just started looking into that, but I don't want to derail the conversation.
Yeah. Let's go back to Stoy, and here we go.
Okay, so when we talked with Chris about the Shapeshift DAO, I decided to research how they are doing all this stuff. So one of their central tools is this Gnosis Safe. And in the beginning, I was very skeptic about it. I thought it was just like, some specific way to avoid fees. But in fact, this is the to-go wallet for every Ethereum-based project. All of them just stop using other multi-sig wallets. They're just using this one. So it's a very, very central tool. And in fact, every DAO needs a multi-sig for treasury or something per war stream. And we're missing these tools in both Smart BCH and BCH. So one of the maybe first thing when we start thinking more seriously about the DAO should be some way to have a multi-sig wallet. And I tried to, in fact, this is just open source contracts. So they have like Solidity contracts and React component. So I tried to just deploy them to Smart BCH, but they have some very low level instruction inside, some assembly, something. And it's working on some blockchains. Like for example, if you take a look here, they have it already on this BSS on the Polygon, on XDAI. They even have it on Phantom. But unfortunately, when I tried to deploy it to Smart BCH, there was an error. So we cannot use this directly. So we need to find our own way. I found some close stuff, but not as good as this one, because this one, it's ready and it have it have also the JavaScript API. So you can have your own project to supply transactions to this one for signing. And because of this, they have a ready application. For example, you can do a lot of stuff. For example, here is to distribute tokens like airdrops, or you can update the next version of the contract. So if you have changes in the PSF token, we can have several people signing this contract update, which is for DAO very important. So in fact, it's great application, but like for bad luck, it's not working on Smart BCH. I hope they will fix maybe I don't know what is the problem.
Yeah.
So
did you notice there's a deployment option to Avalanche?
I tried Avalanche, also not working, at least on Fuji. It's working on Phantom, which is another network. So, and some other one, but not on Avalanche and not on Smart BCH. But it's maybe just some fix in the contract. It's not some huge change, but still, we need multi-sig wallet. And other thing that we need is some way to do proposals. And this, the whole Ethereum world, including Shapeshift, they're using this Tally stuff, which is, they give you some API or something, so you can have a nice web interface to the proposals. So you can see like all of the going in the moment, what happens, and it's integrated interface. We need a way to I don't know, to participate in this Tally stuff will be good. If we have DAO and we are like close to this standard stuff, will be good.
So Tally is it associated with Gnosis Safe, or it's a totally separate thing?
I think it's the separate. We can check more, but it's definitely this Gnosis, they have integration for Tally inside their code, but these guys, they're independent, because we can see another guys are using them too, like Gitcoin, other projects. So it's, I think, like API for governance, and Gnosis is just a multi-sig wallet. So they have maybe some applications or small code to interact with this Tally, but Tally is independent.
Okay.
It's something, yeah. See, they doing DAO stuff. And on the governance, we don't need to use Tally like 100%. There's some nice article here on the Open Zeppelin side, because they already have a ready contract for governance.
That's
you don't
right.
need, so you don't need to do any stuff. It's already written and it's audited and everything. So they can do the governance with tokens. You can see they have like votes and everything already done in their contracts. And they even already using this for their own site, like this Defender that I showed you before, like Zeppelin Defender. They have also in their wizard, you can create this kind of governance contract for 1 second. It's like just click, 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 and you have your governance. But it's just a small part of the DAO. It's just voting with tokens. So we have like small tools, but a lot of missing tools to have everything like nice DAO.
Yeah, this is nice because you said you showed us how to deploy these Open Zeppelin contracts to Smart BCH. So I like this. I really like this as a possible avenue for us, is using Tally and Open Zeppelin on Smart BCH. That's essentially the gist of what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And other thing that I just wanted to just several minutes, like 5 minutes, I have a small like not replacement, but think that can be useful. This scaffold stuff that I'm always using, they have a multi-sig example. But the interesting thing is, in order to have a multi-sig wallet, you need, I'm not sure if it's a requirement, but you need some backend server to keep the signature until everybody signed the transactions. And now they're using some shitty backend, just a small like Express stuff. But I think the pay-to-write database will be a great replacement here to have also the decentralized stuff for this one. So I just, if you allow me just to show how it looks like. So they have the contracts, which is some simple multi-sig wallet, and they have this backend, which is waiting here. And when you start the API is looking very much like this Gnosis site. Just several seconds until it's compiled. So this one, we can maybe develop it a little to use it like a multi-sig wallet with a nice backend from the pay-to-write database. So in general, it will look like this one. This is this multi-wallet address, and you can have several wallets and several owners, and you can add the owner, but we need like signatures of these guys. So and you can create different transactions for pretty like transfer funds. So if you want to fund this guy with, I don't know, like how much it have, like 0.101 or something, it will create these transactions, but it's still not, you need to sign it. It's go to some pool, and this guy will need to sign it, and the other owner also, because I specified the 2 signatures. So if I have this guy also signing it, you can sign these transactions, and then you can execute it. Yes, this guy maybe don't have permissions, but this behind this thing is running this backend, and you can see there is some data going inside. If we replace this with PayToWrite database, this can be pretty decent multi-sig wallet.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So this is something that we could deploy to Smart BCH.
It can be some options to this Gnosis if you don't find a way to deploy it to Smart BCH. And if we decide everything to be on BCH, then we need to work more on the multi-sig part, because now it's pain in the ass with this Electron Cash. So if we need to do this for everyday transactions, like we thought before, every project to have its own like independent maybe DAO contract, we need a decent multi-sig wallet that every of these work stream can have and use.
Yeah, I like this idea. Like, you're right, we need to solve this multi-sig thing, and I'm open to it either being on Smart BCH or using native SLP stuff, or doing the sort of higher level multi-sig program that I've sketched out. However we solve this, I mean, I think any of those will work. I like what you're proposing here about, like, if we built a bridge for the PSF token between BCH and Smart BCH, then we could leverage Smart BCH for a treasury and the multi-sig and the voting, and all the stuff that we do now manually could be done automatically, and a little more transparency. It would achieve more transparency. That's not really a problem. The biggest problem we're facing really is administrative cost. It would remove a lot of that administrative cost, because we wouldn't need a human being figuring all this stuff out. It would just be the smart contract.
Yeah, but like we talk in the channel, we can still keep the main treasury, the current PCF token, to be like now, because it's important. So it can still be managed like now, because it will be maybe one time in year to send the budget to these work streams, and they can do some smart contracting, whatever they want. So in this case, there will be no big changes from the current state, and still the current people can, keep the whole setup that we have with this Electron Cash. Just like there will be like an annual meeting when will be voted, okay, this work stream will get so much PCF. And during the year, they can spread it or do it what they want with smart contracts or whatever. So in this case, maybe this bridging between the blockchains will be also not every day, but will be just this time in year. Because every day with payments to bridge between these for votes, for everything, it will be, I think, not very effective system.
I agree. It needs to be approachable in anything that we do.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the workstream leaders and the workstream teams, because I do like this idea that you come with an idea to the DAO and you say, here's my idea, and they say, okay, we'd like it, and here's the funds. Now you're responsible for putting together and managing a team. It's got a very entrepreneurial aspect to it, where, you know, I'm a go-getter, I want to do this, I'm funded. If I fail, I may not get funding again from the DAO. You know, I may have to just go back to working on stuff or working under other work streams. But I do like this idea because I think it can help the merit rise to the top. You know, but there's also that danger that there's a lot of hype and people get sold on hype, you know, and so how do we defend against something like that, an overhyped idea from somebody that's a really good salesman but maybe can't carry through?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm watching Shapeshift DAO. Like how are they handling this exact same thing? And there is this, because there is so much excitement out the gate, and it was kind of like you know, you could get any idea funded, and I almost threw something out there just because I knew that strike while the iron's hot kind of thing. People are actually encouraging me to do that, but I didn't want to put something out that I either couldn't deliver or that wouldn't bring value. And that's what it, so in Shapeshift, what I'm seeing happen in Shapeshift is Eric Voorhees is a 5%, he owns 5% of the total supply of tokens, which is actually a pretty big step down from owning a third of the company. And I think his other founder also probably owns 5%, and then, but at least a third, I think it's more like 45% of the supply. So unlike PSF, Shapeshift has a fixed cap. I think they have like 1 billion tokens, or what, there's some, whatever the number is, it's fixed. They can't bring new tokens into existence. Unlike us, we have a minting baton and we can just make more tokens as needed. So the treasury, I think at this time, has about 45% of all the tokens in circulation. And then there's a system, and there's also a protection in place where they can only spend so much, like per year or something like that. So there are protections in place in case, you know, people just go hog wild and tank the price of the token. They'll at least be forced to do it slowly. But really it's the role of these large token holders, who essentially the whales, who have an outsized proportion of the voting power, to pay attention to the high. So in that sense, it's no different than an executive in a company or a board of directors of a company. Like, their job is to pay attention to the high level stuff, not the low level details. You know, what's the income, what's the outgo, what are the assets, what are the liabilities, and track those over time. That's what a good executive team does. And so that idea doesn't change in a DAO. The DAO is still dependent on its whales to essentially use their voting power to make financially responsible decisions. So they're the ones with skin in the game, and they would suffer.
The token holders are kind of like the board, only they're not appointed, you know, which happens in a lot of companies where you get some cronyism, you know, appointing friends to the board. It's something that you have in financial investment in. What about ways to earn that place? You know, because we talk a lot about developers that are in poorer countries, you know. How could they earn a place where they have a say in the governance? Well,
you know, I think that's participating in a work stream is the way to do that. Like, I participated in some of the earlier engineering stuff with Shapeshift. If I wasn't so busy, I still would. There's so much I encourage anybody who wants to earn crypto, go participate with Shapeshift. They have money and or they have tokens, and so the question becomes, are you earning tokens to then cash them out and pay, you know, and feed yourself, or are you earning them to then hold them and with the hope that they'll accrue in value? Because those are two very different mentalities. But essentially that's how, you know, the system is supposed to work, is people participate in the work stream, they accrue tokens, hopefully they don't cash them out, they accumulate them, and that's how you rise from just one person participating in a work stream to one of these sort of executive level token holders that actually has a say in the governance. Now, applying that to the PSF, again, we have a very small cash flow, so we can't afford people who will just take the tokens and cash out right now. That would very quickly tank our token price, and everything would become untenable very quickly. So we right now have to focus on people who want to fulfill bounties and then retain those tokens. Those are the people that we need to prioritize for our own survival as a DAO at this moment in time. And so that's just an economic reality, but the principles over the long term are the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see, there's always going to be human issues. I can see human issues with the principal token holders, saying, I like this project, I don't like this project. They vote on it, it doesn't go through, but one of the guys is a big enough whale that he's like, well, I'll fund it myself, And so,
Eric actually does that. He funds a lot of side projects with his own token stash.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It sounds like, in a lot of ways, the workstream leader is a temporary CEO for that project. Is that kind of...
Yeah, if you imagine the token holders as sort of the board of directors, they're directing the workstream leader to execute on their direction. So yeah, very much a CEO or a VP.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a better picture, and we're going to see other ways of running this sort of thing as well. And I am excited about watching these developments. So how does Shapeshift get around their token being a security?
Well, it's not. They've been very careful to tiptoe around the very vague definitions of the Howey test. So they've never, as a company, they never sold the token like for money. Like they rewarded it as like reward points, but they never sold it for money. There's, so what the Howey test is, a common enterprise with like a central figure as the person who's like sort of makes this thing profitable and an expectation of profits. So I think they've been very careful to say that, like, we're not driving this token. It's a free market. We're not selling it. We're not encouraging anybody to buy it. They've only given it away for free. There is a market that is naturally developed around it. And they've been very careful to say, like, we're not doing anything directly to drive the value of this token. And they said that right up to the point where they have now dissolved their corporate structure and they're full DAO now. And so the token just simply becomes the medium of exchange in which they operate. It's not, I mean, they have a treasury and they can control what's in their treasury, but they have no control over what's not in their treasury. And so, yeah, it's really interesting, but also by being decentralized, it's sort of, now if a regulator wants to go after them, they have to go after all the individuals. There is no, there is no CEO, there is no board, there's just token holders. And those work stream leaders are just individuals volunteering to do things and get reimbursed in these tokens. And I've strongly encouraged them to move away from dollar-based budgets. It's a difficult thing to do, especially if you're hiring Americans who expect to be paid in competitive salaries. But this is something I've thought a lot about, and I've had a chance to kind of discuss it with some of the workstream leaders at Shapeshift. Is that it's whenever possible, it's better to put bounties in tokens and just sever any tie you can to the dollar and what those tokens are worth in terms of dollars.
Yeah,
it just there's a lot of subtle reasons why that's a better approach.
Very cool. Very cool. Any more on the subject, or can I show some stuff in the NFT world?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. So if anybody wants to say anything on this topic, now's the time.
All right,
David. Now go for it, Aaron.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. This is, and let me make sure screen sharing. Weird. It won't share my screen on the.
I can see your screen, but it's just.
That's weird. Let me do this. I'm just gonna share
Horizon.
What? It looks like Horizon? Okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right. And I want to make sure we can see this online because for some reason OBS is not showing up. So let's see here.
I'll try and bring up the YouTube and.
All right.
See if
Well, I'm going to
that's-
share that with you guys, and I'm gonna make a capture window for myself. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
So we'll just go display capture. Okay. And let's bring that down. All right. So for those who are online, I'm going to transition this and go to my. So I'm in the Unity editor here. And one of the cool things I found out is that you can actually load up assets. They've had it for a while where you can load up assets from the web. These is for mobile games, AR, VR, so the packages aren't so heavy. But I did find out that you can load up these assets from IPFS, which means that we can eventually load them from PayToWrite database and that sort of thing. So over here, I've got an empty game asset. And I've got a script here called the bundle web loader script. And if I bring up, it's just this simple script right here. I don't know if you guys can see it because I am sharing.
I can see, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
it on both YouTube and I can see it
Okay.
on Zoom.
Cool.
Now this IDE looks like an IDE that you're in is Unity.
This is
like a
Unity.
editor.
This is the Unity editor. Runs on C# for people that are interested in that. So we got this web loader script. We also have a you have to create a bundle asset creator script as well, and I think that's right here. So what happens is we create this empty game object, and I upload it to IPFS. For those who don't know, IPFS does have a desktop client. It's really easy to use. Literally drag and drop a file, and then you can get a shareable link and a CID for it. So I uploaded it to IPFS and put it into the bundle URL with the name, and let's go ahead and hit play. We just got to wait for a little bit for it to. We're in the game window now, and it should be grabbing this asset from IPFS. There it is. I need to work with, so let's take that into the scene, and I'm going to rotate it so you can see it better. When I brought this out of my 3DF Zephyr, it was a little bit off, but you can see the asset right there. It is literally streaming straight from IPFS to my computer. And the cool thing about this is this could be on the PayToWrite database. This can be, and one step further is, let me bring up my web browser here. And
So it's essentially it's just a file. It's just like this 3D model file, and you're just downloading it.
You
from
have
IPFS.
to. This particular one is not like an OBJ, so you have to create it in Unity to make it a Unity specific file, and then you also have to make it specific to device. So if anybody's going to do this, you got to have an iOS, you have to have an Android, a Windows, whatever device this is going to be shown on. It has to have a specific call. But what's cool is you can upload the whole file and then just go through the file structure to pull whatever asset you need for your game, and you just make it specific for your game. So let me show this here. This is
Aaron, just to let you know, we're not seeing it on YouTube.
Well, I can see it. It's very the contrast and brightness is a little odd on YouTube, but I can see it on YouTube.
What I'm seeing on YouTube is simply the code.
Oh, you're probably behind.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, I'm on the live stream, and there is a bit of a delay. It's like 30 seconds.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
This is ChainSafe Gaming SDK, and Stoyan, I thought you'd be pretty stoked about this. So this guy just released videos out in October about utilizing NFTs made on Ethereum within the Unity game engine. And so it will go out and literally pull in NFTs on marketplaces like OpenSea and then you can load them into your game. And these are just a bunch of videos on how he does that sort of thing. And then you get into some of the code calls. And right now, the chains it works on is Ethereum, Avalanche, Binance, Moonbeam, Polygon, and XDAI. But what is really cool about this is what I've been talking about is now happening. People are drawing NFTs as assets into their game, and how they do it is they create wallets within the game, and then you put in your seed phrase or whatever, and then it will check the balance, and if you have a balance of that token, it will load that token asset into your game. So
yeah, that's simple, because if you have a static file that's on IPFS, you can simply attach that to a token, and then if you have a crypto wallet in the game, you can send that token to the wallet, and then it's just a very simple couple steps for the game to then identify the file and pull it in. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
So I'm gonna stop my screen share real quick and come on and change back to the main Zoom here. And where's the main Zoom? All right. Boom. I got to adjust this again. So yeah, that was something that I found while I was researching stuff yesterday, which was really cool. I haven't had a chance to work with creating the tokens, because right now it's Ethereum based or Avalanche based, so I got to get into that. There are tutorials on how to do it with Ethereum. I haven't seen any with Avalanche yet. I mean, this guy just put this stuff out in October of this year. So, but really, really cool and exciting on my end for the NFT development and 3D development type of thing. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
That's great. You know, the big sort of challenge I see there, or the next challenge once this workflow is a little more polished, is this idea of I think this is in line with the trust merchant idea that we've talked about, you would in the use case for fine art, like one of the things that blows me away about OpenSea right now is how people are putting the high res images just out there. And then so when you actually buy the NFT, all you're buying is a record on the blockchain. You're not actually buying exclusive access to the high resolution art, which is the thing that you would typically buy in a sale like that. And so this is really like, I am having a much harder time with this idea of like, just put the high res image out there, and then what you're actually selling is like something that has nothing to do with the actual access to the high resolution art. Yeah. And I see a similar challenge here, where in the game, like you would want to enforce that only one person can have this unique item in the game. That like, basically the double spend problem. Now you could rely on the game mechanics to enforce that. That would be one way to solve this problem.
So how he's got it set up right now is you have scripts that are ready to go for the game. When you launch the game and say you as a user are going to play this mobile game, you would then go and enter in your wallet specifically. So whatever NFT assets you have tied to your wallet, if they're part of the game or not part of the game, they can be brought into the game at that point and only used by you, which is pretty cool. Keeping that secure, making sure nobody gets your seed phrase, that's something that needs to be looked into. I mean, I would run this stuff on testnet right now and not use any actual ETH. But the idea of it is really, really cool. And I think there's going to be further development. One of the things you said was putting the high-res stuff on there. A solution that I'm working on is so with these 3D assets, I can create a HTML file so you can view them within a browser, but you can't use the asset, right? So the idea is I'm going to create an IPFS website, like a simple website, where that's the main page. You come and you see the object. Cool. You can move it around. You can't download it. And then there's another step that's password protected, and hopefully eventually by signatures. And as I'm looking into Ethereum, I see that they're doing the same thing with Ethereum, where they're using signature verification to access tokens. So, but as I was looking at IPFS yesterday, because of their nature of being completely open, you have to put it on the program side. So like the signature has to be loaded up once you load the website on the IPFS. So then that means you're going to have something that has to query the blockchain and look at a certain address. Like when the signature comes in, it's got to go out and look and check and verify and then say, okay, yeah, you can have access. So that's still something I'm working on figuring out how to do.
Yeah, me too. It's a very hard problem to solve. Is this?
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think it's already solved. I think some of the sites, maybe not OpenSea, but they're using in the moment something named lazy minting, which means the asset is not minted until the first guy pay for it. So you can search. I think the other, like Rarible, what was this one of the big sites? They already have this lazy minting. And I think from now, pretty much everybody will try to implement it. So you have like advertisement for this NFT, but until the first time somebody purchase this thing, it's not really minted. And when you mint it, it's yours. you mint it.
When you say advertising, that's another use case for this sort of thing. I know people don't like it as much, but imagine you're playing a video game and you could have a billboard be a specific NFT location, like a script loader, and you have your wallet address in there, and then you could get advertisements that are good for you, something that you want, and then the advertisers can pay for that place. Or maybe it's not specific to you. Maybe the advertiser is just paying, and say it's a local chain and people are playing the video game within say Des Moines, and there is a Des Moines chain that wants to advertise to their people, but they don't want to advertise the entire United States. Well, here's a use case for using some sort of NFT technology to sell them ad space within the game. You have that reserved, and if you have the mutable protocol going in, you can flip those ads and, as a developer, make money on the back end of your game and more on its lifetime. So there's a lot of really cool use cases for this, and this is where I think the metaverse is headed, this idea of being able to take your assets from one game to another and have different game experiences. And I do think that, like, they developed OpenXR for this, congealing the VR mixed reality AR platforms, we're going to see a lot of that happen in game development, period, where there is, just like JavaScript has a certain way of writing JavaScript, you're going to see that certain way of writing games so that people can bring in assets from other games. And so that this is going to be pretty cool and pretty exciting. I'm excited about it myself.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, this is the beginning of a trend. I mean, like, you and other people have been predicting it. Now we're actually starting to see it happen in the real world. It's clunky, but it's going to get polished.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
I mean, I'd like to look in, if it's working on EVM, I think it should work on Smart BCH. So, I need to get back and study some of the stuff you've shown us, Stoyan, to see if I can make this work with Smart BCH, because that would be really cool. I think it'd be very cool to pull in SLP NFTs this way and figure out a way to do that. But it just means looking at a different code base or finding a way to port the C# code base over to JavaScript. They do have a WebGL type of thing, so I got to look in that direction.
Yeah, it actually depends on the wallet side of things, because from what you showed us on Unity, it's just pulling in an asset from IPFS. That part wouldn't change at all.
Yeah,
it would really just be the wallet and the token, and then the breadcrumb trail that the token provides to the asset. Like, that's the part that would be like specific to any one blockchain.
Yeah, and so the thing that I copied, and I'll just post it in the Telegram here if people want to take a look at it. This ChangeSafe software, he goes through several videos of setting up the NFT, and he does a very simple example where he just changes the color of the sphere. So he's got a sphere in there, and then he loads the NFT, which is a red sphere, and just to show proof of concept, hey, you can do this. He's got a red sphere on OpenSea, literally loads it from OpenSea into Unity. Very, very cool. And there are guys doing this with AR. They aren't utilizing crypto yet, but same concept as they're pulling the AR objects off, and this allows you to change things and going into the mutable data spec. Now I can send a transaction that says change X, Y, and Z about this asset, and it will change for everybody else. You know, anybody that bought that asset and is using it. It's Christmas. I want to put a Santa hat on this character. I put a Santa hat on him. I send my transaction. I change the data. It's automatically changed in everybody else's stuff, right?
Yeah. It's got my gears turning. This idea of essentially. So I'm really focused right now on this sort of fine art use case because I'm trying to commission an NFT for myself from a fine artist, and we're talking about different ways. You know, we're really looking at OpenSea and looking at how other artists are monetizing their stuff right now, and I'm kind of thinking, like, if there was a smart contract or possibly just an encrypted regular Node.js app that has a portion of it that's encrypted, you could actually, what we'd in order to, this idea of, like, so if the NFT had say a low res image that everybody can see, and that's like the token icon, and that's what gets passed around, but it's only the holder of the token who has exclusive access to the high resolution image.
Yeah.
When you sell that token, you've got a problem, because now how do you restrict the previous owner from having access to it, and how do you grant access to the new owner? So there has to be a ceremony of some kind, a cryptographic ceremony where there's like a handoff where the old encrypted version is destroyed and a new encrypted version is created that's only accessible to the new owner. I'm starting to sort of think through the mechanics of how that could happen. That's a trivial thing to do if you just set up like a centralized server, and that becomes your media, host, and everybody just has to go to that central party to get the, that's what checks the signatures and does the encryption. That's easy. How could you do it in a way that's not centralized? That's the hard part.
That's the big question that I'm trying to figure out as well, because you have your NFTs, and if you did them on a centralized database and that database goes away, those NFTs are worthless. You do them on a decentralized database, as long as you do it right, they'll stay there, right now, theoretically, for a long time. Don't know what's going to happen in the future. But the problem with the decentralized database is the security. It's easier to secure a centralized database than it is a decentralized database to keep people out. So how do you keep, I think when it comes to like the high art situation, you have to prevent that owner from being able to download it. So his ability to display it and use it has to be within a wallet functionality, unless that's tied to a contract where it's like, this is an unsellable asset, almost like a burn, like, I'm going to sell you this token and you are going to be unable to sell this again or send it to somebody else. So that's a use case picture type thing. You want to be able to use it again. Maybe it's something where, okay, you can view it through the wallet or IPFS or whatever, but you can't download it, because how do you prevent this person from downloading the asset and just selling it a bunch of times, Those are questions that have to be answered, and how are you going to go about doing that? I think the market will answer these questions as people go around and say, okay, I'm going to lock this up. I can no longer see it. I sold it to you. You can see it full res. But it's the same thing with what if it's music? How do you prevent them from streaming, from downloading? So like I talked to a guy who's a security guy, friend of mine here, and he's like, well, in that case, you can put a background processes, part of the application. So when it streams, it's also checking for other background processes to see if they're ripping it, and then it would cut the stream. So it'd say, oh, you're actually recording, I'm going to cut the stream, that sort of thing. So I think having these NFTs on a decentralized web, it eliminates any one person actually owns the content, and then the NFT becomes a key to the content. And
yeah, and in a purely digital space, that makes a lot of sense. That just doesn't really translate to the physical space.
Yeah.
Can I show something?
Yeah. Let me go to screen share. Oh, I need to stop sharing, it looks like.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So, in fact, the problem that you are talking about, it's already this secret network. If you know, that's from long time, they're doing something with privacy. So they already have this. You can have private metadata on the secret network. So I will just post somewhere, maybe the URL.
Drop it in the Telegram channel.
Telegram, I'm on another computer, but
oh, okay, that's fine. I wrote it down. It's scrt.network.
Yeah, so this one, they're interesting. They're working a lot about the security on the NFTs, not only NFTs, tokens. So they have interesting idea. You can maybe get something from here. And one more just to show is Zora. In the beginning, when I look on it, it looks like a pretty shitty site for NFTs. But in fact, this is the open source protocols for NFT. And they, so the repository is github.com Zora. So these are the open source contract. They, how to see, extended a little the standard to have a little more functions inside the contract, but it's allowed them to do some interesting stuff, like for example to have auctions or percent to go to the creator, all this to be inside the contract. And they also have some they divided the metadata URL and the token URL, which I think this can be used, and this one is changeable. So for example, you can have a NFT with changeable maybe metadata, which will create, how to see, maybe keys, will contain keys or something. I'm not sure still. It's still very new concept to me too, but you can get maybe some ideas from these guys. It's a very interesting project.
I'll look at it.
Food for thought.
Yeah. So for NFTs, these two are on the topic that we're talking in the moment, secret NFTs and Zora.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show you also one more about the indexer. Do you know this site, The Graph?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I wish I knew a little more about it.
If we can do this with the indexer, will be like, I don't know, everybody will love us a lot. This thing, this thing allows you to create a small indexer per contract in case of the EVM. But it will be interesting. For example, if you have site with NFTs, you don't need every time to index the whole blockchain. You can have your own sub graph, which is the small indexer. And I think for the BCH, it will be maybe on the group NFT. If you can have a indexer for one group, which will get like something, I don't know, events or something, only for changes in this group, it will increase a lot of speed for creating NFT sites.
Yeah, so as I'm building this SLP indexer, that thought has occurred to me that, like, man, this would be so much faster if you didn't have to index the entire blockchain. If you had some way to like hone in on a specific, like, you know, whitelist or a blacklist or a graph of some kind, I mean, it would just be 100x, maybe 1000x times faster if you could just, you know, if you just didn't have to do everything on the blockchain. And
I like that idea. Yeah, of going with group NFTs.
I've heard really good things about the graph. I think it's kind of a double entendre in that there's like GraphQL, which is a way to query data that replaces a REST API.
Yes,
access to a database. But then there's like a graph of like a DAG.
Yes, but you can. Interesting is that every project can have this subgraph. So you just need to tell them. They have a tools to tell them which events or what contract you have, and it will create like a GraphQL client specially for your project. So if you have a site with NFTs, you can have a GraphQL specifically for this site. So ask them what are purchases in the last hour, or what are the music NFTs only. And you don't need to write every time JavaScript code for every particular case. It will be GraphQL. So you can use like ready libraries and everything.
See, that's great for what I'm trying to do with digital asset capture, because that tells me I can put them into different groups. You know, here's action figures, here's trees, here's this, and I can just query those groups.
So all of the big NFT sites, like if you see, there is the subgraph for OpenSea, for Uniswap. Everybody have already their own subgraph there. So if we can make something similar with the current indexer to make areas where to index just this thing, it will be maybe great for the future.
Yeah. Well, I'm in terms of the SLP indexer that I'm building right now, I'm definitely going to have a whitelist and a blacklist feature. So that I mean, really the hard problem to solve there is making a general purpose indexer that can index the entire blockchain. That's the hard part. Doing a whitelist or a blacklist makes everything easier. James added that to SLPDB. He added a whitelist. I don't think he's added blacklist capabilities. So I plan to do the same. But yeah, it'd definitely be worth my time looking into the graph and looking at their API and just sort of seeing how we can make it accessible by it.
I thought they are only the Ethereum, like, but I see now they using also, they index also the Near blockchain. So I'm not sure, can they do something with UTXO based blockchains like BCH? But we can ask them. I don't know if they can help with this. It will be a great way to, I'm not sure, because how to say, all of this Near and Ethereum, they're contract based. So you can tell them, okay, index just this contract, which is not so good for us. But
yeah, that is different.
But we can tell them, for example, use this group, NFT group, and it will just index transactions in this group, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so there is a concept of a graph in SLP. There's that's what Graph Search plus that JT Freeman built. That's what it does. Is it analyzes the general graph between nodes, which are transactions, and then SLPDB has a sub database that's just a collection that's just dedicated to understanding the graph, the connection between tokens, and I guess I'm not deep enough in computer science to really understand the value of that. I mean, I know it's valuable, like DAGs are extremely valuable. I get that. But yeah, this is just, I guess I'm thinking aloud. I need to spend more time understanding the graph because I've heard a lot of good things about it. It seems to be gaining a lot of popularity in the industry, particularly with EVM blockchain. So yeah, if there's some way we can tap into that, that would be a good thing. And if anybody wants to, watching this gets inspired and wants to collaborate, that's definitely something we check into.
I'm going to take a look at it for sure, because I'm trying to develop a protocol for creating these digital assets and how to store them and how to categorize them. So I'll take a look into it in the next few weeks.
Great. All right. Well, we're about an hour and 20 minutes in. I think we should wrap this up. Is there anything that anybody wants to get out before we close it up?
I'm good.
Yes.
Stoyan, I just wanted to say that I love your sweater.
Really? It's very Christmas-like.
Yeah.
Sorry. My screen was going to. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that close-up shot of it.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think it's been a good day. We've covered a lot of topics. Thank you it was a wonderful conversation about the DAOs. Great to just be on the same page with you guys and be asking the same questions and kind of, have a collective understanding of what's going on, at least with Shapeshift.
And feel free to contact any of us through Telegram if you want to talk any more about any of this stuff. I'm always willing to talk about VR, the metaverse, and NFTs. So hit me up.
Right on.